Kind of full start the meeting.
We good? Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our work session, May 25th. One more day. We have some exciting things happening this week, a graduation. I just want to pause for a moment of silence. We lost a community leader yesterday, and I've been pretty upset about it. Good friends, both Hiroko and Hiroko lost her husband, Matthew Watkins. Many of you know him from Logo Surfing. They've been very active in the chamber and Rotary and
School system.
Two children and in the school system. So if we could, let's just have about 20 seconds of silence and we can each pray in our own way. Okay, thank you for that. For our meeting next Tuesday, Ms. Kraus, not only will you be leading the meeting, but we'll also have the prayer and the invocation. I'll be out of town next week, so Ms. Kraus in her final appearance will be in control. We'll approve the minutes, we'll approve the agenda. You will. We'll review committee reports. Dr. McMichael, you'll have some recognitions, and
Yes, sir.
I believe you have some that you'd like to.
Actually, I would like to do one tonight, if you all will entertain me just a moment. Every year, really since I guess I've taken over or been in this position anyway, we have been blessed to get better and better and better with our audits and our accounting principles and these type of things. And once again, this year, the Georgia Department of Audits and Awards and Accounts has awarded Ms. Jennifer Houston, Assistant Superintendent for Business Services, and the Barrow County Board of Ed the award of distinction for excellent financial reporting. Only a small handful of districts out of the 180 in the state are awarded this every year, and this is, I believe, our second time, Jennifer, if I'm correct. And so I would like to present this award distinction from the state to Ms. Houston and to Ms. McNamara, who actually is the kind of behind the scenes person that handles so much of our accounting and our audits and getting ready and working one-on-one with the auditors during that time. So
and it really is. She works so hard, and she gets the audit just complete and ready, and just gives it to them. The auditors aren't here but a few days, and they, I think they enjoy auditing us, and we really enjoy the feedback from them too. But Pam is the mastermind behind all of that, and of course, all of our principals, bookkeepers, our own staff, our directors, and everybody contribute to this award, because everybody hates us because we say no, we're doing it wrong. But this is why, so we can make sure that we have good, sound internal controls and financial policies.
so going into this position that I would actually enjoy going through the audit process and sitting in for those reviews, but it's usually it's always been such a kind of a brag session from the state, and how that we're a model for the way things should be done. So it actually is an enjoyable part of my job. So thank you all so much.
Congratulations to you both and to your team. That's outstanding. We'll recognize visitors next week. Do you have any requests at this point?
Not at this
No
point.
requests. Okay. All right, we'll move on to superintendent department reports. Dr. Green.
So the communications report is posted for your review, and unless you have questions, I'll let that stand.
Dr. Matt, anything on the enrollment?
This is an enrollment report.
Okay. Business services, Ms. Houston.
All right, this is a quick report tonight. We just one invoice between $10,000 and $24,999 for the month of May, and that is the Georgia Department of Labor for $24,814, and it's for our unemployment claims. And then for our board $200,000 IT prior authorization, we spent $161,823 of that money. So there's $38,000 left, but IT no longer needs this money. So they are going to relinquish this, and this will be the last time that I report out to you. We were able to buy 349 devices, and it was very much appreciated during that time when we needed to order based on getting the product here in a timely manner. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Why are we relinquishing money? I think this goes back to the federal government.
The 38,000?
Yeah.
No. It just goes back to, it's out of capital projects mostly, so it just
Okay, so
goes
it goes
back.
back into our fund. So
This is our money.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, this
Thank
wasn't
He
federal.
just doesn't need
Okay,
to do anything without board approval anymore.
gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown.
Good evening. We've got several items in our board report tonight. The first is some notes from our building committee meeting that we held Monday, May 17th. And I think you've got those notes there with you, but just to kind of touch on those briefly. The main items that we discussed, the first two really are the early release rating packages that we're looking to bring to you later this evening as action items for further development of our Austin Road campus. There was a tweak to that second one. We were making a push, kind of a last minute push there to get a pod of mobiles to place out on the Austin Road site to accommodate future growth there at Bassett. And we pushed on that really hard, but it didn't come together like we hoped it would. And so we're going to sort of back up. Our recommendation will be to back up from that and still recommend that same guaranteed maximum price. Part of that will be for the early release rating package of Bassett 2. And the other portion of that will be for the construction manager to just help us get the mobiles in place, whatever those may be. If we move mobiles from another site in our campus or district, or if we go out and purchase other mobiles, we use our CM, our construction manager, to help us get them in place, get them set up and tied in and all those sorts of things. As far as the purchase of mobiles, we want to put together a request for proposal and bring that back to you at some point here in the coming months. And, we can make a recommendation to you at that time for the purchase of any unit. So that's sort of how we work the plan B on the mobiles piece there for the Austin Road campus. The other main point of discussion was, okay, once we get this earth moved and we pre-grade out here, what's next, what's first, and what comes after that. And really for us, the new elementary school has to be the first out of the gate. We're going to have 19 mobiles at Kennedy when we start next school year. We're going to have 12 at Yarborough. So we don't have any money accumulated at the state for an elementary school at this time, and we might by the time we apply. But those are just the facts. We've got mobiles out there. We need to get an elementary school out first. And so we plan for a fall of 23 opening for a new elementary school. And this is all on the Austin Road site. This is our master plan, by the way. I know it's going to be hard to see where you're sitting. Please come up here in a break or whatever, and I'll stick around after if you want to look at that and talk through that. We kind of break it up into two pieces. This orange area here, we call that the perimeter. Inside that is where we've got Bassett 2. In the future, we go here. We've already got a lawn area out here designed as part of the initial phase of Bassett for mobile units. So that's where mobiles will go when we do get those out there on the site. And then everything outside orange, outside the perimeter, That's that big earth moving piece that we're talking about. So we've got a spot for an elementary school here, and a middle school in the back corner. Okay, this is Austin Road. Bassett and Sims here, and their tech back here. Okay, so new elementary, new middle, and Bassett too. Those are all the things that we're getting prepared for here by moving this dirt early. So elementary school first, fall of 23. Bassett 2 would be next, with an opening in the fall of 24, and middle school would come in the fall of 25. And things that you all have allowed us to do, bringing an architect on board early, getting a construction manager in place, grading early, that sets the table, that greases the skids for all this type of stuff to happen. It's really 3 years for a new school, from the time you start design until the time you open the doors. So we can't sit around and say, well, what do we think? And then say, okay, let's do this. And wave one, and a year later or 2 years later, there it is. It's got to be far in advance. And so, again, we're setting the table for that, preparing ourselves for that. That's the lineup. That's the proposed lineup. And I would just say that the crystal ball, you can see what's in that thing real well for about a year out. And then when you get 2 years out, it gets a little cloudy. When you get 3 years out, it's a little cloudy, even more. So I just say that this is what we anticipate. This is where we see ourselves headed, but we do need to be prepared to pivot and just kind of make some adjustments as we go. But that's, in a nutshell, kind of our discussion in the building committee meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Not a question, Joe, but a comment. We held our first SPLOST meeting last night for the November, to be put on the November ballot. It wasn't very well attended. And I think we're going to need a lot of support, from the community again to make sure that happens. So I'll make sure that we get the word out before the next meeting that to get more people to attend that. We need support.
That's a good point. We believe we can get the new elementary school built within our current SPLOST. But for Bassett 2 and the new middle school, we would have to have that SPLOST extended, to make that happen. So that's critical.
Joe, just for your information, also for the board's information, I was at that meeting Monday night, and the subject of the lack of recreation facilities around Bethlehem was a subject of discussion, and also the fact that we need to seriously look at building some type of community over there. And Dan McGee was there, as was the chair of the commission, and some other folks. And it was amazing that the few citizens who were there expressed an interest in making sure that there were recreational facilities, and that money was spent for things like walking trails and bike trails and that sort of thing. So we've all had this discussion in terms of how we can help as a school system to facilitate our folks being able to use facilities after school's out and on weekends and that sort of thing. So I think this is a good time for us to be talking to community leaders and to parents of children. I would say that to those that are watching tonight, to be involved. The next meeting is going to be 2 weeks from last Monday, whatever date that is. It's at the courthouse, the old courthouse on Broad Street. And it's open to the public. In fact, they want public comments. So it would be great if we could kind of get that word out through the school system to do that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. Athletic facilities is a piece in the notes there. We've got to move all this dirt here to help balance the site. So that's why we'll be over in this corner, even though the schools are over here. And so when we get done with this, we're not going to have fields ready to play on out there, but we'll have them rough graded so that when that time comes, we can just take that step. But that might be an opportunity to partner as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting last night. I had a prior obligation, but I obviously intend to be involved just like I was last time. And one of the things that we, learned last time was, just how important, not only sports field, just recreation in general is important to the citizens. And, I'm already getting, emails and things, and I'm excited about that people, even if they're not coming to the meeting, they're already re-engaging to say, this is what we want as a community. So, I happen to know because of my involvement both with rec and sports in general, it's a big problem for BASA to be dependent on, the rec department, because the county is just exploding. And so having this field space is going to be, it's a priority, because there's just simply not enough space right now for us to be able to have the programs that we need. So I think it is a good opportunity. Once again, Lynn, we were right there together on this to be able to really work together from a school system and a county perspective. That's been a beautiful marriage in a lot of ways. Dan McGee deserves a trophy. And we should probably send him something edible, like a arrangement or whatever. I don't think he'd want flowers, but I mean, he's just been amazing and balancing all of these things and providing for BASA the best he very can. But the truth of the matter is there's only so much time and so much space. So I'm happy to see all this. It seems like it's coming at a good time. We can start talking about it again. So I'm really excited about it. This is something I'm real passionate about. So I'm excited. I was really upset that I couldn't be there last night because it's kind of my thing. But I'm really excited about it. I have no doubt we're going to see great things again through this project. So I'm happy.
And there's only so much money.
There's that.
And there's precedence there with the partnership with the county on the turf fields and the amphitheater.
Yeah.
We've proven that we can work together
Mhm.
to maximize the resources there. So there's opportunities.
Yep. Thanks for heading that up. It's awesome.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Dr. Moulton?
Good evening. There are two topics under teaching and learning. For the first one, the 68 days of summer learning, I welcome Dr. Beth Michael and Mrs. Tamara Bowman to podium.
Good evening. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of being with, I'm Ms. Michael, and I'm our district literacy specialist, and this is my partner.
And I'm Tamara Bolden, I'm the district math specialist.
And we are so pleased to present some information with you tonight on our summer learning program, 68 days of summer learning. So if you would mind coming forward. So we have a couple of goals with the initiative. We know that a lot of our kids aren't going to take advantage of the summer school programs we're offering, but we still want to provide those students with some support. So we're hopeful that with this initiative, we can keep them reading and we can keep them doing math all summer. We know that research indicates that kids who don't read over the summer months generally lose. They can lose up to 2 to 3 months of the gains they've made throughout the school year. Kids who do read all summer long can even make gains throughout the summer. So we definitely want to keep the kids reading, and we want to encourage them to develop a habit of daily reading.
And the loss is often the same in math, between 2 and 3 months. And so we want to provide families with math resources and activities they can do together as a family that will help support their math skills over the summer. The reading and math resources and tools will be housed on the Barrett County School System Summer Learning website. And we want to express our appreciation to Shinley, Roundtree, and Nicole Vallis for putting that website together, taking all of our ideas and turning it into a beautiful, very family-friendly website. And they've also created a Facebook page, and we'll see that in just a few minutes.
We could not have done it without them. So I'll tell you a little bit about the reading components that we're going to offer students. The first one is a 68-day reading log. So there's 68 days of summer. And so we just want the kids to read just even if it's 5 minutes every day, all 68 days of summer. So we've provided them with a reading log, and they're going to log the time they spend reading. And students who bring those logs back after the beginning of the year, those logs will be put, or those students' names will be put into drawings for prizes, probably gift cards to Barnes and Nobles or some sort of bookstore so they can choose their own books to read. So we got the reading log and the incentives tied to that. One thing we're really excited about is our book talks. We've reached out to community members and some of our district leaders and have asked them to prepare some 30-second to 2-minute book talks just to sort of advertise a children's book and get the kids really interested in reading. And I'm so pleased with some of the submissions we've received. In fact, I've received some from some in this room. Dr. Green sent me one this week, Dr. Bowling. So we're really excited to share those on social media and the website. And if we have time, we hope to show you one at the end of the presentation. And finally, we'll also offer some literacy resources, some tips for parents and information for parents to help them support their children's reading development at home, some reading logs and goal setting sheets, just tools that students can use as they're reading. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, because we changed the reading calendar. You'll see a reading calendar on the screen. That's been changed. So the one you see on the website is going to look a little bit different than that one, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how the students will track their reading. And then there's a link to a book talk preview. I think you have access to this presentation. So if you'd like to check it out, I will leave that one. It's Ryan Butchers, the principal of Kennedy Elementary.
Okay, and so for the math components, we are going to invite students to join an online summer math challenge. And one of the other resources that we are sharing out, the Georgia Public Broadcasting Company is working in conjunction with the Georgia DOE math specialists to create a series of videos/lessons. They're pretty entertaining, and there's one set for elementary, a different set for middle school, and they're actually working on a third set right now. And the third set actually pulls in kind of local celebrities and has them talk about how to use math in their jobs. Jim Carfagno from the Weather Channel was one of the first ones. So I think those are going to be great as well. And we're also going to pull in problem-solving activities, push them out through social media, have access on the website to different problem-solving activities, and the website will also house lots of other resources as well. And because students have spent so much time this year behind a screen, I made sure to include lots of activities, math that you can do outside, math games to play, math with sidewalk chalk, math with dice. I mean, I just feel like we have springtime them to death this year. So it's really time to get outside and play, but there's no rule saying you can't do math while you play. Trick them into learning a little bit. So that's really what the math component will include: the summer math challenge, access to lots of different resources, and then lots of games and encouragement to get outside.
Do you have any questions for us about the summer learning program?
So I take it that you've done this to try to be all inclusive. We're going to have children who are going to be in summer school who are really behind and need help. And this is for our children who we know if they don't read during the summer and they don't work on math, then we're going to have to play 6 weeks catch up when they get back.
Yes, ma'am. Encouragement and support.
Okay. I commend you for doing this. I wish y'all had been around when I was in school. I might have enjoyed math a whole lot more. So.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say it, Ms. Stevens, but for reading, there's a senior graduating top class. She's done well, but unfortunately, I'm embarrassed to say this because I'm a literacy person. She doesn't read for pleasure. There's so much that competes for the kids' attention these days. And so we're hoping to make reading and math exciting and incentivize it a little bit, whatever we can do. So we're anticipating that we're going to continue this next summer and maybe build it and grow it every year. So if you have any feedback for us after this summer and you see what we pushed out, please share that with us.
What % of the students do you think will enroll and take advantage of this? Do you have a goal or a realistic
Well, our goal,
Number-
of course, would be 100%.
Right.
To be honest with you, I don't even want to venture a guess, but I think with getting the reading logs returned, we can kind of get a gauge on how many students participated and maybe can even come up with a total number of minutes read in Bear County over the summer. So I think that'll kind of give us a good baseline maybe for moving forward next year.
It'd be nice if our partners in education could get everybody who participates some kind of gift card or.
That would be phenomenal.
Kids will do a lot of stuff for ice cream.
They will.
So I'm so excited that you guys implemented middle schoolers, and let me tell you why. So kind of like you, it's sort of a shame to say this, but I remember when my son was in elementary school, they had all these things and he would take these AR tests, if that's the right, I can't remember, it's been a second, but he was like so into that and he would compete. And by the time he was in 5th grade, he was tied for the highest number of AR points in the whole 5th grade. Then we get to middle school and it stopped. There was no more competition between, and especially I think for boys, that's very driving, that competition. So there was no more incentive for him to be a pleasure reader. And between 6th grade and 8th grade, now the child I see graduating from 8th grade is not the same person who loved reading that he was when he graduated from 5th grade. So I'm excited to see that you guys are kind of including them. And I think that that's something that we can work on in the future. So, and it looks fun. Y'all did a good job. Yeah.
And we are actually, our job title for K to 8, but we also included resources for high school.
That's
as
awesome.
well.
Yes, that's awesome.
We didn't want the high schoolers to be left.
Left down. Yeah.
That was my question when looking at this, because, and I wouldn't say it was selfish, but it's really not selfish. I hated reading. My mom said when I was little, I couldn't stand sitting and listen to a book, but I know if you have problems reading or listening, then you struggle all the way through. So thankfully, I had a teacher of mine that told me when my first child, start reading while you're pregnant with them. You can never start. And if I did anything right, as a parent, I did do that right, and I have with my grandkids. But you said that, the ones that read the 68 days would be put into some kind of drawing. Do you need extra help for that? Because I'd like to actually contribute some money to actually help with that myself, because I think it's so important. In fact, my granddaughter today, I didn't have her but a few minutes and I had to get ready. And as her daddy came to pick her up, she says, "Daddy, take me home." He says, "What?" And I said, was it because Mimi went and read that book to you? She said, "Yes, it is." I mean, which is a good, and he says, "I'm gonna mark that down in the history book," because usually she wants to run and hide and not go home. But yeah, that's a good thing to have. That's why she wanted to go home, because Mimi didn't take time to read to her. He was getting ready for the meeting.
Are you guys working with, Dr. Mike, I love saying that, Dr. Mike to the other time. Are you guys working with the libraries on this and their summer reading programs?
For the most part, we're advertising what the library has to offer, promoting that through the Facebook group, through our website. So
Okay, good.
Great job. Thank you, ladies.
Such a
thank
good
you for
job.
your time.
The City of Auburn video is amazing.
Our next item for teaching and learning is project-based learning. Welcome to the podium, Dr. Simpson.
Hello, everyone. Good to see all of you. Presentation is coming up here. Thank you for this opportunity to speak a little bit about some great things that we have going on at VASA and future plans for making sure that more great things happen in future years. My clicker's working, and it is. So just for everyone's benefit, VASA is an innovative magnet high school, and we're serving grades 8 through 12. One distinguishing characteristic is that our students choose a major and a minor area of study, and we offer lots of different opportunities for them in terms of electives courses and magnet courses, including everything from, as you can see, culinary arts, music technology, photography, sculpture, and sports medicine. And so really we give students the opportunity on the front end to explore these different areas and whittle down to exactly the place where they feel like they would be interested in pursuing in terms of college and career, but also in terms of just interest. And, what are they passionate about? I may not want to be an artist, but I may love art. And so we look at really the educational, but also the personal side of our students. All of our courses and programs leverage technology a whole lot, as well as project-based learning to make an engaging learning experience for the students. And we know that what follows when you do that is they're able to learn more, they're able to learn better, but they also enjoy doing it. And so you create those folks who are excited about learning and will hopefully continue doing that even beyond school. Our academic courses also seek to integrate the arts to boost student learning, appreciation for the arts themselves, and the enjoyment of our students. So as a unique type of high school in our very first year, it's been really important to view this kind of as an experiment, right? We were nimble, we tried all sorts of different ways to make sure that our students were engaged, but also our teachers felt supported in providing these engaging learning experiences for our students. And so, we've collected a lot of feedback throughout the year, and I just have a couple of pieces to share with you too, or to share with you here rather. We have two excellent students who serve on our school governance team, Holly Wesley and Sean Brown. And they're just phenomenal students. They do a great job of speaking with other students in the school. They bring their opinions and their perspectives to our SGT meetings. It's just a great thing. So in speaking with them, but also other students, the general consensus has been we see project-based learning more so in career and technical and fine arts courses than in academics. Not saying we don't have great things going on in our academic programs, we certainly do. But you can certainly understand that those content areas lend themselves more naturally to project-based learning. According to our staff members, we've had conversations with them, but we also issued a survey to find out what do you need next year in terms of professional learning. And when we say that, often we mean, in-service days, bringing in folks to speak with them, facilitating classes, workshops. But we also mean what sort of support do you need in your everyday classroom to provide these engaging learning experiences for our students. And not surprisingly, the top 5 items that came from that survey were social emotional learning, technology integration, project-based learning, arts integration, and student engagement. And that's no surprise because we've created a new school, a new type of school, and we need to make sure that we're providing our teachers with the support to teach effectively in that type of environment. So with social emotional learning, it's going to help greatly to have a second counselor for next year. And we've got some great plans, particularly with our crew program for making sure that students feel connected at school and they're getting those tools in their toolbox to handle things, when life gets rough, because that happens to us. So we have an effective plan for that. We're looking forward to implementing it, but we do feel like we need additional support with providing our teachers with professional learning and support on technology, project-based learning, arts integration, and student engagement. And so to meet those needs, what we're seeking to do is to create an innovative learning coach that will support our teachers with those specific areas and help them to plan intentionally for learning, mastering the standards, but also tending to that great need that we have more than ever, honestly, for student engagement. More specifically, that coach would co-plan innovative project-based lessons with the units, with the teachers and the teams. And so going beyond serving as a resource or just Googling something, rather this position, this person would actually co-plan units with teachers to provide them with new ideas and support. They would also model the implementation of these instructional practices. Showing the way is very effective. And so when someone is able to step in and say, watch this, see how this goes, we're able to learn from each other in that way. And then it is sometimes a struggle for teachers because we are teaching in our own individual rooms. We try to do peer observations and other things to break down those silos, but to have an expert in the building who could actually model those lessons for teachers would be a really good thing. And actually go as far as co-teaching those innovative units with our teachers. whether that's for a couple of days or whether the teacher wants to implement a 2-week unit. And just having that dedication to being right there alongside that teacher for their first 2-week project-based learning unit would really be a game changer for us, for our teachers, and for our students. There's a great need for differentiated learning for our teachers. And essentially what that means is, I have a different need for learning and supporting growth than you do, right? We've all got needs, but they're different. They're in different areas. So really what we're seeking is to, in addition to personalizing the learning experience for our students, to really personalize that learning experience for our teachers as well, so that they can in turn do that for our students. And so our theory of action here is that if we're able to really invest in our teachers and in their professional learning, their instructional practices, particularly in project-based learning and technology integration, and providing challenging learning experiences that relate to the real world and what our colleges need from us, what our technical colleges need from us in terms of graduates, and also what our employers need from us in terms of graduates, that's just going to result in better outcomes for our students. And so we really believe by investing in what it truly is that we were created to do with this position, we would be able to better meet the needs of our teachers and our students, and everyone would benefit from that. So with that said, do you have any questions or concerns that we could address?
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we do a lot of great things in the school system, everywhere we look, but I hear just fabulous things from parents and students who are attending BASA. Earlier today, a parent said to me, the BASA was the best thing that's ever happened to Barrow County. And she said, my son is a different person. He's a different kid because of 1 year at BASA. And that he's just doing amazing things and plans to go to Georgia Tech now. That's his goal. So thank you for all you and all of your folks are doing for our system and these students.
Thank you. It's truly them. It's the teachers and the students. They've just come together and they've made a really strong, tight-knit community. And so thank you so much.
This innovative learning coach position sounds like a big job. Are you looking at just starting with one?
Yes,
and
sir.
see how that progresses, what kind of effect they have on the staff as well as the students?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And you're going to take this into all areas, all maths, language arts, whatever.
That's exactly right. And we would begin, especially, we would focus on the academics. Because again, fine arts and career tech really just naturally lends itself. It takes a little bit more intention, a little bit more creativity in the academic areas. So they would primarily be focused in those four core areas.
How many students are you expecting next year?
Ooh, good question. So currently this year we have over 600 and next year we'll have over 900. Sir.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. Being innovative is something we strive to do in the county. I like that. Is this something that we could get assistance for from the University of Georgia? I mean, do they have people that could assist you like implementing this program? I don't know if you've reached out to anybody.
We certainly do have connections there and would definitely want to connect this person with the resources at UGA. What's immediately coming to mind is RAIL, and I just can't remember what it stands for, acronyms. But it's innovative learning, I know, is the IL, and they focus a lot on technology and project-based learning, and we've had several conversations along with Lee Bain with them. And so I know that they would be interested in getting involved, and they've been involved at CFIT and the AIM program.
Right.
So that's certainly something that we would be looking at very closely.
I wasn't on the board when BASA was just a dream and it was coming to fruition, but I want to tell you guys how appreciative I am, not only as a community member and as a parent, but as a board member now, of the vision that you had and the boldness it took to chase down that dream of yours. It's truly remarkable to see what happens, and being someone who does go to BASA every single day and sees the events that are happening over there, I'm just blown away. And I really, as this person who graduated from Barrow County Schools, I hardly can believe that it's even Barrow County. And I'm truly blown away, and I appreciate it so much, what you guys did, before us newbies came on, and I know that it was no small feat. And so you guys did amazing, and you could not have picked a better person to lead it up. He is remarkable. He is a strong leader, not only to the students or to the teachers, but to the students. And every single time he comes up with something, I just get more and more blown away, sitting in my parents' seat at home when I learn. And so thank you all so much, you previous board members and superintendents and everybody who, put your sweat, blood, and tears into this, because being a part of the inaugural year has been, it's been an honor as a board member and a parent. So thank you very much.
You have Stephanie's Venmo.
So what I'm hearing here is that basically we've actually started this with Arts Now and the AIM program. And this is just a continuation of that, which is exactly what we need to be doing. So we've already got this in the budget. We're doing this, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. What else do you need?
I appreciate your support. Absolutely.
I want to make
Good
a
man,
comment.
good man.
I wanted to thank you, Dale, for your hard work. This could be used as a model that can spread into our other schools. And
Absolutely.
so this is something that, that we could take in. It needs to be everywhere, the way I look at it. So, and I'm hoping that we can, speak with our other teachers and our other schools to see what their needs are and how we can implement some of this within our other schools as well. So thank you for your first year getting
He's
it
a
going.
blazer.
I know it's been a little difficult, but you managed to pull it together and make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been great. So thank you all for your support.
Thanks, Dale. Ms. Beggs.
Not at this time.
Okey doke.
Jump in on. Yep. Something real quick. Before we move into our business, I just wanted to take just a moment and just kind of update you and see if you have any questions also regarding where we are with the pandemic and moving forward. We, as of about noon tomorrow, we'll be officially, I'm going to go ahead and say it, but we'll officially be able to say we did it. We saved our school year. And that's thanks to some really heroic efforts from everyone, the community, you all, students, especially our leadership and our teachers in the buildings. They were on the ground with it every day and working through it. From contact tracing, we've learned all kinds of new things this year, from contact tracing to who has it, who is a suspected case. I've learned more about the medical field than I ever wanted to do. My father wanted me to be a doctor when I was born, and this year I thought he might have gotten his wish, but so it's been a good year, and we appreciate y'all's support. We started off best we could, and very much unknown, and this whole thing has just been unknown waters, as we've said over and over, but we've come through it. We didn't have to shut back down, which is, I think, really a testament to our folks and to following our mitigation efforts, and to folks like Dr. Green and Dr. Thompson and many others that I couldn't name everyone, but keeping a close eye on this thing every day to make sure where we were. So we've made it through, and I think that deserves a big congratulations for everyone. That said, the virus is down. It's not out. Unfortunately, Barrow is still a little higher than some of our neighbors, but it's still in a very low range at this point, spread wise. So we're feeling very, very confident about that. I think it probably a little foolish to say we're not going to start with all the mitigation efforts and the mask mandate starting school at this point, because no one knows what's going to happen in 2 months. But right now, our plan is to move forward as normally as we can next year. No mask mandate. They'll still be allowed for those that feel the need to wear them. But don't see that happening unless there's just a major shift or something else happens, or some crazy variant shows up in CDC or the Department of Health were to tell us we needed to move back in that area. So I'm very glad to say that. We're going to, for graduations tomorrow night, we've already talked to the high school principals, and we're going to be able to not have the seniors wear masks during graduation. They'll be spaced out, they'll be outside. So we don't have to worry about messed up makeup and hair and those type of things for pictures. Again, just feel very, very confident that we're in a low enough level now that we feel comfortable do that. As we had decided, and the CDC had recommended, when the CDC came out with its most recent pieces a few weeks ago, they did come back and backtrack and say that schools really shouldn't change. And we agreed with that because really we've been through it. We're almost there. Let's not jinx it. Let's get to graduation. We owe, especially all these 2021 graduates, every opportunity we have to pull this off and have it go well. So we did that, but tomorrow is the end of that. So we'll be taking a look at within the PDC and the schools and the folks that are working with also relaxing some of those mandates and mitigation efforts also moving forward. So can't breathe a total sigh of relief, but a pretty big one at this point. We're very, very confident that we are through the danger zone at this point and ready to move forward, and hopefully won't have to deal with this at all next year, but we'll be ready to if we need to. We'll always have a plan in place in our hip pocket to move forward if something unforeseen were to happen. We will put out a short statement to our websites, or at least on the high school websites, about graduation tonight. So if you get any questions on that, let us know. And again, I appreciate y'all, especially the board support. There were a lot of tough decisions, a lot of decisions that had to be made quickly, and without all the areas of input we like to normally get on big decisions. Sometimes we just had to move quickly. And so it's been a tough year for everyone and a learning experience for all of us, especially myself. But as I said when I started, we saved our school years. We didn't have to shut down again. Our kids and our teachers did an amazing job of working with our kids in person and digitally and hybrid and all these new things we set out to them. I could not be prouder of any group of people than our teachers and administrators and the folks up here to get through this year the way we have and still keep a fair sense of normalcy and keep the learning moving forward. So it's a weird thing to say, but I couldn't be happier the way this turned out this year. And so it's again, just amazing bunch of people that work in Barrow County school systems. And so just wanted to see if y'all have any questions on that.
I feel the need to make this statement. I've been on this board for a long time, and I thought back in 2008, when we were trying to find erasers for pencils and not having to buy anything that was not considered unnecessary, that we had a rough time, and it was. And there have been a couple other times when we've had situations that were not fun and we had to deal with. But this has by far been the most challenging, not for our board, it was challenging for the board, but compared to what all of our teachers and administrators and bus drivers and custodians and lunchroom folks and everybody who works in the system, including everybody in the central office, have had to go through, has been just more than, and the job that they've done and the success that they've had has been more than anybody could expect. And I know you sent out an email saying how much we appreciated our folks, but there is no way I can possibly express how grateful I am to the system and to everybody in it who pulled together this year and did everything it took to try to ensure that every one of our children got the best education they could get given the circumstances, and they will continue to do that and catch those up, I have no doubt. But there is not a better school system in this nation than the Barrow County school system. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
You're here.
Well said, Lynn. Dr. McMichael, well said as well, and well executed. I mean, that's the bottom line. You and your teams, you put a plan together and you executed this year. I think let's give them a round of applause.
again, without having the team that has been put together in this system, we would have definitely floundered a lot more than we did. We learned quite a lot going through it, and also would be remiss if I didn't thank the parents and students and the community members for their patience and their trust in us. I know it was tough, and no one likes change, especially when it comes rapidly and quickly. And but we, as a team and as a group and as a community, we pulled through it, and I really feel like much better days are ahead of us. So.
Absolutely. We're gonna have some happy seniors tomorrow
Absolutely.
and Thursday without the masks.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the consent agenda then, if we will. Got a couple pieces of old business. First of all, the policy revision, BCBI, public participation in board meetings. Superintendent recommends removing policy BCB1, public participation in board meetings, from public comment and improving said policy. I don't think we had any
No, sir. We have not.
objections, so
We have not had any
consent agenda. Okay. Second, policy KCA, public participation in board meetings. The superintendent recommends rescinding policy KCA, public participation in board meetings. This policy, along with policy BCBI, are being replaced with an updated policy, public participation in board meetings. Consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sinclair? Doesn't look like he's there.
He's been here the whole time.
I don't know if John's up there. Casey's not. Let me see if I can walk you through this a little bit.
Okey-doke.
So we're recommending the approval of purchase for iPads from sole source provider of Apple in the amount of $52,920. This will allow us to place 20 iPads at each elementary school, which is the technology that's required for kindergartners to do map testing moving forward. Apple only authorizes direct from manufacturer sale of iPads to school districts, and therefore the sole source letter there. And due to excess product lead times, we're asking if you could to go ahead and approve this at this meeting so that we can go ahead and make that purchase and have time for these to come in before the start of the school year in August. You can ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them, but
So that's a total of how many iPads?
180.
180 for 52,920.
Anything else?
So is this going to be the first time we actually test kindergartners in math?
It will be, I think.
So we did pilot at 4 of our elementary schools this spring. They were able to get some kids started and collect some data for us, and we're impressed enough that they recommended that we go district-wide.
So we have 5-year-olds who are really good at using Apple computers. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, the iPads work really well for them.
Okay, fine.
Keyboards on some.
The beauty of an iPad is that you're not really having the keyboard so much as you are being able to touch screen.
True, true. And so how long do these iPads normally last, Kim? Are they good for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 10 years?
Yeah, I think about 5 typically.
5.
Okay, we'll vote on that.
You need that one tonight, right? If we
We'd
can,
like
if
it
they're
if possible,
comfortable.
that
with that.
gives us extra lead time to get these all received.
Okay. Aruba network switches.
Oh.
Now you're really out of spot.
He was supposed to go to Aruba.
So remind me to have a conversation with John Sinclair. So we are recommending the awarding of the purchase of Aruba network switches to the low bid respondent of MXN of Woodstock, Georgia. John has done his homework, as he always does, in terms of checking out this company. And so we feel very comfortable in being able to recommend the low bid respondent. And you'll notice the financial impact of where the finances are coming from for these Aruba switches. So if you've got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those as well.
He says, please don't.
Consent agenda.
That's exactly right. We'll ask Ashley and James back there to answer your questions.
Do we need more information from John, or do we want to add this to the consent agenda?
No, it looks like it's already paid for, and it was.
I recognize the name. We've done business with these
Yeah.
folks.
Yes, we have.
And it's a good price compared to all the
Yeah,
rest.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Green.
You're off the hook, friend.
Dr. Bowling?
Go back.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for a quick opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the Gold Book. So part of our work in special education is compliance. Our teachers, as you know, deal with a lot of paperwork and that kind of thing. But the more important work we do is the teaching and learning instructional portion. And the sentiment which we've always held is that all of our students can learn. Here recently, we've really tried to emphasize that as we move forward. And due to our wonderful award-winning financial department, fiscal department, we're able to be fiscally responsible and move some of our resources, our federal money, towards instructional resources. We've done that with reading programs. We've done that for some of our self-contained adaptive classrooms. And so this provides what we think is a real game changer in Gold Book. And I liken Gold Book to sort of a clinical model of education, not to suggest that anyone's sick or needs healing, but it helps us sort of pinpoint, helps our teachers rather, individualize learning for their students in a way that helps them facilitate their strengths and weaknesses. Then it moves towards helping them create IEP goals aligned with their exceptionality, and then gives teachers progress monitoring tools to see how the different interventions as part of the IEP are working, and then even gives them instructional strategies that are designed to work with the students, you know, depending on what their exceptionality is. If it's reading comprehension, you know, there are strategies that are designed to help students with reading comprehension, if that's what their exceptionality is. So we purchased about 49 licenses this year. We have one license in every school. We monitor its use, and a lot of times you'll get intervention programs and you have to really monitor the fidelity of use to understand whether or not it's working or it's working purpose well. The teachers loved it. And they used it quite a bit. And so because of that fiscal responsibility, and because of the move towards, you know, instruction, quality instruction that's individualized and specialized, we would be able to, with this purchase next year, to purchase a license of Gold Book for every one of our special education teachers. So it's a big deal. To have each one of our teachers have this as a resource to help them individualize instruction for students. So with all that said, the superintendent recommends that Barrow County System purchase 250 licenses of the Gold Book Toolkit license to provide guidance to special education teachers working with specialized student populations to vary the levels of instructional support and individualized learning. It is a sole source, and since John's not here, he says this all the time, and I'm going to say it in his place. They are not adversely listed on the SAM.gov database. But that total for 250 licenses would be $75,863 paid out of IDEA funds. And if you have questions, I'm glad to attempt to answer them.
You had me at IDEA fund, so I'm good with it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Roughly how many students will this help?
Yeah, so, I mean, we have around 2,200 special education students, and it will work with any student. So if a student is speech only, then it will provide goals for that particular student and help you progress monitor go through the whole process. So differentiating learning and individualizing learning for students is a challenging task. I mean, I think there are, you know, those in the ivory tower that are still discussing the best way to do it. And I think this is a way to create mass change for every student with an IEP. So it should affect everyone. all of our students, special ed students.
Dr. Bowling, I don't know if you know this. I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but I have had several families come to my business in the last couple of years that come here. All of them have been from, well, I'll just say it, Oconee County or Jefferson, or school systems that everybody just loves to inflate. And they come with special ed students and they say, I think over the last 2 years, I think I've had 6 families who came and said, we're moving to Barrow County because our children have a special need and these places are not meeting our kids' needs. And we have friends who go to Barrow County schools and they tell us how amazing their children get served. And that is something you should be really proud of. And this is just going to take that one step further, allowing the teachers to be able to collaborate in such a way as this and keep good records. But I don't know if you know what a reputation that you have. So I thought I would share that. Since you're here, you're not here very often. So
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That means, that's what we're striving for, and really that's attributed to this teachers and our staff. They're magnificent.
They're rock
All the way
stars.
up to you guys.
Indeed.
So we appreciate your support as well.
Brad, I
Yes, sir.
understand this, like, I looked at, got the attachment and it says, each one will, have a effect on 150 users. Is that what that reads?
I don't have the actual invoice. I don't know if we can pull it up, but so it'll be 250 teachers who are our case.
So total access for up to 150 users. Is that what that means?
What users are the teachers?
It's supposed to be 250 licenses.
So
Look over your shoulder.
Here you go.
It certainly does say up to 150 users. I'll need to correct that.
Okay.
On their behalf, that is for 250 licenses.
Okay.
That's for a license for every teacher.
And the other thing, it looks like we're entering into a multi-year partnership with these folks.
Yes, sir.
So you're getting a discount of $13,387.
Yes.
How many years we?
So you have to re-up each year,
Okay.
but the price for that goes down. So we also are working with someone who's coming in to help us ensure that it's being used with fidelity. So we don't know what effect it has on student achievement if we just buy the licenses and don't follow up and make sure that they're being used. So a decision moving forward will depend on, how does it affect student achievement and how does it help our kids?
Well, if it's individualized, it can't hurt.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
This seems to be something like Epic is in the medical field, right? I mean, this will travel with the
Yes.
students.
Absolutely. So I first heard about it like 2 or 3 years ago, and my initial reaction was that's too expensive. But the way that folks have been fiscally responsible, it allows us to spend these funds on these students, and it has become a reality because of past fiscal responsibility. And that includes you guys who have supported us.
Consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Green's back.
All right, this one I was planning for. So this is a policy revision. This pretty straightforward. We're changing out 11 words for a different set of 11 words. But basically, we're going to ask that you put policy JBCD, transfer and withdrawals, on the table for public review for a revision. And the primary impetus for needing to revise this policy is it refers to a very specific job title that will no longer exist after June 30th, and that Thompson departs. And so we just needed to make that change. And while we were doing that, we wanted to kind of simplify the process a little bit. So if you're looking at the policy draft, the 4th full paragraph down, you'll notice that we talk about a system, a process for considering cases that are requesting to transfer to a school that's different than their zone school, and for cases involving special education or medical circumstances, then a special committee will review those and make a recommendation to the superintendent for a decision about whether to allow that transfer or disallow that transfer. And so the particular revision that we're requesting is in that second sentence there, and it just describes how the committee that will make the recommendation to the superintendent would be composed. And so we're wanting that sentence to read, the committee shall be appointed as needed by the superintendent or designee and include a principal and counselor not connected to the situation. So we would specifically remove reference to particular titles. And this gives us more flexibility because depending on the particular circumstances, we may need a school psychologist, we might need a nurse, we may need an assistant director to be on that committee. And so it just gives us a little bit more flexibility in how we implement this policy. And it does take away specific titles that change from time to time. And so hopefully we will not come back and ask you to revise this policy.
Thank you. Consent agenda?
Yeah.
Fix.
Good evening. I have two policies that I'm bringing to you tonight, and I'm requesting a waiver in both of these situations. So we're not permanently changing the policies, but we are requesting a waiver. The first one is GARK, and that's employee vacations. And you'll remember about this time last year, we came forward with the same request that employees, currently that policy will only allow employees to accrue 30 days. And at the end of June every year, anything over 30 is wiped out. You lose those days. So because of the situation over the last year and a half, a lot of these employees have not taken vacation. In particular, our maintenance staff, our IT staff, and our staff up here at the central office. So we are requesting, again, a waiver to extend the time that they can use their vacation through November the 30th of this year. So any questions about that request?
Why did we pick November 30th? Was that just an arbitrary date?
Payroll requested that so that we could get it all done before the Christmas break and enter it in all the payroll by that time, by the end of the year.
I guess my next question is, if we had a lot of folks who didn't take it, does that mean that between now and November, we're gonna have a lot of folks taking vacation that might delay work that needs to be done in the system?
No. In fact, what they've said is that this will allow them to spread that time out. Right now, we could not afford for all of our maintenance folks and IT folks to take vacation over the summer and get it in by the end of June. So this gives them time to, maybe wait until the fall and take that 1 week in the fall or, whatever they have.
I was just concerned if we needed to stretch it out over a longer period, but if y'all agree with that, that's fine. I just had that
I
concern.
think the recommendation or the feeling is that they can do that by November 30th.
Okay.
Consent agenda?
And the next policy that I'm bringing forward is IFBD, and this is media centers. And this is specific to what you heard Dr. Simpson refer to earlier in his presentation. And that is their need for someone who can really facilitate the project-based learning. Currently, we found out that although our charter allows us to waive a lot of things, we have a board policy that specifically requires a person that is a certified media specialist in the media center. And in this case, after a year, Dr. Simpson has determined that his students and the way they are trying to focus on project-based learning would be better served with someone who has a teaching degree rather than a degree in as a media specialist. So the request is to waive that specific line item as it relates to BASA only, not to change the policy. But in this case, that would allow them the flexibility they need to go ahead and hire that coach with a teaching degree. Any questions about that request?
So the coach will replace the media specialist.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Consent agenda?
Does that need to be, can that wait till Tuesday, or does that need to be voted on?
Wait until Tuesday, fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Moten?
Personal financial literacy, I'm going to call out the Jennifer Woods. Thank you, Dr. Wood.
Good evening. So tonight, I am presenting a proposal for a new course to be offered at our high schools. This course is called Personal Financial Literacy. And the Barrett County School System would like to begin the process of offering this course as a social studies elective for our high school students district-wide. Financial literacy describes the skills needed for understanding the interactions of people with money and related matters. The course is designed to help students develop the understanding by describing, analyzing, and evaluating many financial topics that students will directly experience. One of the attachments includes the standards from the Department of Education, so that you can see the standards that the teachers will be covering. So this recommendation is respectfully submitted to the superintendent for his recommendation to the Barrett County Board of Education to offer the course Personal Financial Literacy as a social studies elective for high school students. There is currently no financial impact as the teachers and students will be using an open educational resource available through EverFi. And so EverFi is it's an online that has lessons and activities and resources that the teachers and students would like to use in their first year of teaching this course. It's been through our school governance teams and they support that. And so tonight I'm presenting that to you and hope that you will approve that so that we can start this next school year. Any questions that you might have?
All of it.
Me too. This came out of the state legislature, is that correct, this year?
It actually really came from your requests and stakeholder requests. It's just been sort of, I think, a discussion that's been needed in the school district for many years now. And has been an approved course for many years. It's just not something that we've implemented in the high schools. And so I think we're kind of just getting the feel from everybody involved that this is so important for our students when they leave high school to be prepared.
Right, yeah, and during our strategic planning process that we've been going through the past couple of months, that's something that's come up over and over again.
Yep.
So we thought, when this opportunity presented itself, we said, time, we ought to go ahead and get that going.
I have two problems with it. One is that we're doing it in high school because I think it needs to be started earlier.
You want me to answer that now?
Please
Or do you want to go with your next question? So that is already on the table. So like Dr. McMichael mentioned, in our strategic plan, one of our priority goals is looking at curriculum. And one of our action steps is to implement things at the elementary and the middle school. So we are looking ahead of those. And actually EverFi has many, it actually starts in kindergarten. They have activities for financial literacy that go K through 12. So it is an action step that you will see happening within the next, probably you'll see pieces of it in the next year.
Okay.
Next question.
Good. Next question is, why are we doing this in lieu of social studies?
Because that's how the state has it approved as a social studies elective. It's just in their courses, it falls under economics. And so that's just how it's listed as a social studies elective.
Okay, so do these high school students still have to take social studies courses?
Yes.
This will be an elective to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's my other problem is I don't think it ought to be an elective. I think it needs to start in elementary school. Seriously.
I actually agree with that, but we'll try to move into
This
that.
is-
I want to get the course started and make sure it's exactly what we want.
Yeah, okay.
It is. So I believe it'll be a consideration moving forward once we sort of get this started and introduce this to our students.
Okay.
So both of your questions are action items. How about that?
Gee, how about that?
Dr. Wood, as a former student, I would say this is 51 years too late.
Yes. Ditto. As someone who does not like to balance a checkbook, and that's what my husband is for, I would.
I hope my wife's not listening.
Yeah.
I had fond memories of personal finance as an elective when I was in high school, so
I just know how to
it
spend.
was a very valuable course.
I have first time home buyers who can't write checks. So they don't know how.
Consent agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you very much.
Ricky, I never heard you be so excited about a consent agenda.
I'd like to take just 1 minute to go back. I was so focused on talking about our building committee notes here. I didn't get an update on our construction projects.
Oh.
Just 2 minutes, not even. And I say projects because that it's not just the west side addition that we're working on now. But you'll see some pictures here of the west side addition. It's coming along great. I was in the building today and they've got the final clean already done in there. The contractor has. It just looks great. Most of the focus now is on the outside of the building, getting the topsoil spread, the irrigation in place, the sod will come next. The canopy out front connecting the addition to the existing building. There's the field house there out front. So it's just coming right along there, west side. And the other projects, and we'll look at those photos there, some classroom photos there. I love seeing that paper there. I really do. I know y'all want to see the floor, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it yet. I want to see it when they're out of there. You take it out when they're leaving. So for our summer renovation projects, I don't have photos of these, but at Auburn, Holson Beck, and CFIT, the lighting retrofit has already been completed inside the building. They did that a week at each school, working in the evenings. There's still some of the high fixtures that they're going to come back and get, but what a tremendous difference that makes in the school. They've already got that piece done. At Appalachia, they've already got the gym floor sanded down. They'll be sealing that and getting the logo in place and whatnot over the next couple of days. So the schools have been great about saying, hey, we'll make room for you here. Y'all come on in, get a little head start. That's been very beneficial. And also as far as material, we've got some material on site. We've got others in warehouse off-site being stored by the subcontractor. So those are critical pieces too. A lot of issues with material right now. And so we feel pretty good about those pieces also. Thank you for letting me back up for a second. As far as action items for tonight, and this follows along with what we spoke about earlier, the superintendent recommends a guaranteed maximum price of $7 million to pre-grade the Austin Road campus for a future new elementary school, new middle school, and athletic facilities. Okay, so that's that area all outside of the perimeter, outside of the orange spot there that we would look to get in there and grade this summer. That also includes getting utilities in place, getting retaining walls done. And the goal of the construction manager, Charles Black, will be to get anything that might impact the start of the next school year done and get on the other side of the road so they can still be working over there, not be in the way of our traffic and our school activities. The only other thing I'll say about that is that, again, I like to put in here kind of where we've been. And this is a credit to you all. We bring in an architect, an engineer, a construction manager, and you allow us to get all those folks on board and the work they've done over the last year or more, that gets us to where we are. And there's just some of those things listed there as far as surveys and budgeting, soil analysis, and soil borings, and all those kinds of things. Nobody talks a lot about those things, but they're critical. So that's a really big piece to getting us to this point right here. Any questions?
Agenda?
Okay, this next one, we have a recommendation. The superintendent recommends a guaranteed maximum price of $2 million to pre-grade a portion of the Austin Road campus for Bassett 2. This GMP will also allow for the provision of mobile units as necessary to accommodate growth at the Austin Road campus. So again, that's not to actually purchase mobiles, that's to use our construction manager, help us, once we get those mobiles, get them in place and get them set up on site. And I just remind you, that's a guaranteed maximum price, both of these. Doesn't mean we're going to spend all that. It's a maximum, and we work from there down. Again, this one is associated with earthwork really right in here, where Bassett 2 would go. That's why that's much less in cost. But again, it just helps us get a little bit better again.
Joe, can I ask a question about that real
Yes.
quick? So mobile units at BASA, are we going to, I know with Dr. Simpson being the principal of both BASA and Sims, we're going to utilize the space at Sims before we start putting kids in mobiles, right? I mean, or is there a?
He is already,
Oh.
yeah, he is already, he's maximizing that space. And so again, we're just trying to get out in front of it a little bit so that when we do have to set mobiles down out there, we've got some of these initial pieces out of the way. But honestly, you know, it may help us when it comes to the elementary school or middle school.
Yeah.
You know, and accommodating growth at those levels too, if it becomes necessary. So.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Consent agenda?
Okay, and my last item tonight is superintendent recommends allowing the State Department of Education to provide assistance to the Barrow County school system in the development of its local facilities plan. Every 5 years, we have to submit a new local facilities plan to the state. We update this every year, so there's nothing earth-shattering or, you know, really substantive about a change to our plan. It's just a requirement that the state has. And so we work with Deborah Robertson, our consultant, all the time. This is just sort of a formal step that we have to take to get this resolution signed. And throughout the remainder of this year and into the winter, early spring, we'll be working on fine-tuning that plan, getting our drawings with the State Department of Education tweaked, and you know, we'll bring, of course, that plan to you all before we go to state with it. But this is the first step in that process.
Okay. Questions? Consent agenda? Thank you, Joe.
I'll go over the next item, and then we may want to take a break. I probably have about 30 more minutes and presentations after this one. Okay, so this one is for office furniture at Auburn, Appalachia, and Holsenbeck. Superintendent recommends accepting the highlighted price per line item on the attached bid tabulation sheet for office furniture for Auburn, Holsenbeck, and Appalachia High School, and other staff if needed. Total cost will be approximately $69,233. We're also asking for a contingency of $7,000 for adjustments in the quantity and permission to go to the next lowest bid if product standards or timeliness of delivery becomes an issue. This summer, facilities will be completing renovations at Auburn, Holsenbeck, and Appalachia High School. Attached is the bid tabulation for office and administrative furniture. There's also a need to add a few offices at the PDC. 13 vendors responded to the request for a bid. Samples were requested from the 4 lowest bidders whose items complied with the specs needed. Selection was made on each line item using the best price, most durable product, uniformity of products, and staff choice and timeliness of delivery. Total cost will be $69,233 with an additional $7,000 for changes in quantity or changes due to timeliness of delivery. And the ELOS funds will be used for this purchase.
Questions? Consent agenda?
You're gonna do how many offices at PDC? 4?
We're not sure, whatever we can take out of our current, out of Auburn, Folsom-Beck and Appalachia High School that's in even moderate condition we use. So we're not real sure that we will even need any at the PDC.
Yeah.
We recycle very well. All right. So do we have 30 minutes or do y'all need to take a break?
Does anybody need a break? Otherwise, I'm good with
Okay.
boards too. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this next item is we went through the general fund and you guys approved the tentative budget for the general fund. Now we have all these other funds that we have. So we're gonna go through those and this should be real quick, but please stop me if you have any questions at all. All right. So our other funds are capital project funds, debt service fund, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, special education, vocational ed, that's federally funded, ROTC, education of homeless children, pre-K, CARES Act, and enterprise funds and school food nutrition. Our capital projects funds is a governmental fund used to account for the financial resources to be used for the acquisition or construction of major capital facilities, equipment, and other expenditures according to the referendum or advertisement. Revenues are ELOS proceeds and interest revenues, and GSFIC state reimbursement for facilities. Expenditures are building renovations, salaries, buses, and technology. Transfers out, and we also transfer out to the debt service fund to pay principal and interest on our bonds. So we are anticipating 16 million in ESLOS funds, state reimbursements of 1.4 million, and 50,000 in interest for 17,450,000 in revenue. And we're going to have expenditures of 30,805,326. And that is for the Austin Road campus expansion, about 99.5 million. Renovations of existing buildings, 8.5 million. Maintenance projects, 600,000. IT projects, 1.1 million. Buses and transportation, 874,000. Personnel, 445,000. Audit and administrative fees, 25,800. Debt service, 243,000. And transfers to our debt service to cover our bond payments, 9,437,206. Our debt service fund is a fund used to account for the payment of general long-term debt. We get transfers in from the capital projects funds, just like I said, and expenditures are bond and bond principal and interest. So our revenues are the transfers in from the SPOS fund, 9.4 million, and our debt service is the expenditure there of 9.4 million. These next funds are federal funds. Federal funds will be allocated in June. These are all reimbursable grant funds, meaning that we have to pay for the expenditures first, then request reimbursement. Projected expenditures and revenues are based on fiscal year 2021 actuals. And federal funds normally we receive approximately $6.7 million a year, but this year it will be approximately $16.3 million because we do have the CARES Act funds. And this does not include school food nutrition federal funds. Our first federal fund is the Title I. The purpose of this is to enable schools to provide opportunities for at-risk and disadvantaged children to acquire the knowledge and skills contained in challenging state content standards and to meet the challenging state performance standards developed for all children. So we receive federal funds from the following areas. Title I-A is improving academic achievement of the disadvantaged. Title I-C is supporting migrant education. Title II is professional learning, which is transferred into Title I. And Title IV-A, student support and academic enrichment transfer. So what we're doing is we take some other federal funds like Title II and Title IV, and we transfer those into Title I so we can use those funds in a more general way. We don't have as much red tape on those. Expenditures include the additional para support in the classroom, instructional coaches, technology, family engagement, instructional materials, administrative salaries, and tutoring. And a lot of this money also goes into, we transfer it into consolidated funds. This is a new thing for the past couple of years. We transferred it into consolidated funds so the schools have more leniency on how they spend these funds. So the Title I budget will receive 2.9 from Title I-A and 19,000 from Title I-C. And the expenditures are there, instruction, pupil services. So as much revenue as we get in, we spend that money. We don't give any back to the state or the feds. Title II is supporting effective instruction. The purpose of Title II is to increase academic achievement by improving teacher and leader quality. Revenues are federal funds, and expenditures, we transfer all these out to Title I for consolidated funds so we can use them as the schools need them. So we anticipate getting $408,762, and we'll transfer all of that to Title I. Our Title III is language instruction for English learners. And this is, as it says, supplement to the district's Office for Civil Rights Compliance with English speakers of other languages. Program staff with implemented and state and local funds. So revenues are the federal funds, and expenditures are salaries, teacher stipends, professional learning subscriptions to things like Rosetta Stones, translation, and supplies and equipment. We anticipate receiving $141,916 and spend it accordingly. Title 4A is student support and academic enrichment. Title 4 Part A are intended to improve students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of state's LEA schools and local communities to provide all students with access to well-rounded education, improve school conditions for students' learning, and improve the use of technology in order to improve the academic achievement and digital literacy of all students. Specific initiatives are student mental health and fine arts, and a portion of this is transferred over to Title I, again, for consolidation use in the schools. $217,250 is anticipated to be received next year. Title 4B is our 21st Century Community Learning Center, and this supports the development of before and after school programs and summer programs intended to supplement students' education opportunities and improve outcomes for students in high poverty and low performing schools. Expenditures for this grant are for after school programs and summer programs and the Boys and Girls Club. We anticipate $472,088 for this initiative. The next one is Dr. Bowling, the IDEA, Individuals with Disability Act. This special education program in Bexar County is a child-centered education process designed to address individual student needs. The revenues, we receive federal funds for special education preschool, and a high-cost grant. Expenditures are peer support, shared services with RESA, nursing support, administration, equipment, and instructional supplies, learning platforms, and for special needs. We anticipate $2.4 million coming from special ed, that's IDEA. We anticipate $14,000 for a high-cost grant, and for the special education preschool, $134,691.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
How much of that money that we give to RESA covers what we give RESA totally every year? What percentage do you know?
Half and half. We split half with the general fund and half with Dr. Bowling's said funds.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm lost. I apologize. Must have done. Oh, right. Okay, back on schedule. Vocation educational federal funded. This looks for new and innovative ways to prepare our students for college and career success with a choice of 30 different career pathways and 15 career clusters. Students have the opportunity to earn credentials and college credit in almost any career area of interest. Revenues are the federal Perkins grant, which is approximately $130,000, and expenditures are for equipment, membership dues, and supplies. Again, about $130,000 is what we are going to receive from these funds. Our ROTC serves as a character and leadership development program for our two high schools, Fair High School and Appalachia High School. Retired Army instructors lead this program. Revenues funded through the Department of Defense for approximately 33% of salaries and benefits of our instructors. The other 66% are transfers in from the general fund. The only expenditures here is for salaries and benefits of these 4 instructors.
So we anticipate receiving $152,000 from federal funds and supplementing with the general fund for $327,000. Title IX, Part A is Education of Homeless Children and Youth. The Bear County School System adheres to the requirements of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Assistance Improvement Act of 2001 to ensure that all children and youth receive a free, appropriate public education and are given meaningful opportunities to succeed in our schools. Our revenues are federal funds, education for homeless children and youth, and their expenditures are for after-school tutoring programs, credit recovery, transportation, school supplies, hygiene items, and emergency clothing. We anticipate $85,028 for this initiative. Our pre-K program, this is a state program. It's lottery funded through the education program for Georgia's 4-year-olds to prepare children for kindergarten. The revenues are state lottery funds and transfers in from the general fund. Expenditures are salaries and benefits for teachers and parapros, equipment, materials, supplies, and administrative salaries. We are budgeting $1.9 million from the state and supplementing with the general fund for $193,000 for a total of $2.1 million for pre-K here in Bear County. CARES Act 2 provides educational funding to state education agencies and local education agencies to support schools as they are dealing with efforts of COVID-19 pandemic. Our revenues are on federal funds, $7.3 million. Our total allotment was $8.8 million, but we're already spending a portion of that. Our expenditures are going to be a social worker, environmental coordinator, custodial labor, facility renovations, instruction, and indirect costs. So there is $7.3 million, and we plan on spending all of it. CARES Act 3, our CARES Act 3 provides education funding to state education agencies and local education agencies to support school as they are dealing with the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. 20% of CARES Act 3 will be spent on learning loss. Revenues are federal funds, $2.2 million. The total allotment is $19.9 million to be spent by September 30th, 2023. But we have 3 years to spend that, so we only predict that we're going to spend about $2.2 million this year. And the expenditures are for summer school, after school, graduation specialists, 3 of those, academic interventionists, 16 of those, instructional technology integration specialists, 2 of those, and of course, we're still deciding, so there's more to come on how these funds will be spent. Our enterprise funds, these are our after school income and expenditures only in the elementary school. And the revenues are fees provided by the parent or guardian for providing before and after school services for their students. So it's $25 before school and $42 after school per week. Expenditures are salaries and benefits for the after school workers, materials and supplies, and administrative salaries. So we plan on $438,600. So this is for all 9 elementary schools, after school and before school programs.
Does that cover the cost of the program?
Yeah, it does. It's almost a, yes, it does.
So it's a wash. Okay.
Mhm. School food nutrition. Bear County School Food Nutrition Program's mission is to promote a successful academic experience and encourage a lifetime of healthy eating. The staff at each school provides every student with a base of nutrition, education, and meals that are nutritious, appetizing, and served by caring professionals in a friendly and cheerful environment. The revenues are federal funds and sales of meals. Expenditures are salaries and benefits, food purchases, supplies, and equipment. We feel this year we'll have the federal program. The federals will reimburse us for all meals, so students will eat breakfast and lunch free for all of next year. So we believe that that will be $8.4 million in revenue. $200,000 will be state reimbursements, student and adult sales. So this is for other items or second meals that a child may want, $179,000, and then interest on those funds, $20,000. So we're done going through all of the funds. So what we're asking you to do next Tuesday night is to approve this tentative budget. Total expenditures, $68,546,252. Once you vote on this tentative budget, all other funds, we'll have public hearings on the budget. That will be 10 a.m. at the PDC on June 9th, and a public hearing on the budget at 6 p.m. at the PDC June 16th.
And then we'll vote on the final approval of the general fund budget and all these budgets on June 22nd.
Questions for Jonathan? Good job. Consent agenda?
Do we want to put a budget item on the consent agenda? Just. I really think we ought to vote on that separately so that everybody knows it is a budget item and they can look at it if they want to.
We can do that.
It's up to what you guys want to do. I just think I hate to put a budget item like this when we're looking at approving the budget on the consent agenda.
We're still gonna have a public hearing. And
Yeah.
stuff, so-
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if somebody has questions about the budget, that might make them aware of it.
But this is just gonna be a tentative, right?
Tentative, yes.
Right.
I see what you're saying. I think if we, when we vote on it, but tentative, I think we can. I think it matters.
That's up to the rest of the board. I just think it would be better if we.
I don't have a problem leaving it on the consent agenda for the tentative budget. When we vote on the budget.
I guess if you're trying to actually get people to show up, like you said earlier, for the meetings, you might want to bring it out and put it separate.
Well, we can still separate it. Yeah. I have no
I
problem.
mean, that's just my thought on it, now that he said that. And if you want
Let's
more
just
people-
separate it. That's fine.
If you're, you said you want more people to come to those meetings, know about them.
Okay, we'll vote on it individual.
Okay. Our next item is the millage rate. All right, you're gonna see a lot of current year, calendar year 2021, but that's the same as our fiscal year 2022, because we'll be receiving this money in our fiscal year 2022. All right, property taxes account for approximately 30 to 32% of the district's general fund revenues for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and it really holds true for 2022 also, once that budget is approved. All real property and all personal property are taxable unless the property has been exempted by law. Real property is land and generally anything that is erected, growing, or affixed to that land. Personal property is everything that can be owned, but that is not real estate. So boats, airplanes, business machinery, and equipment. Vehicles, usually older, that are still on the birthday tax are on this tax digest. And the contents of your household are not normally taxable unless they are used for a home-based business. Our tax digest and millage rate. The tax digest is the official list of each taxpayer subject to property taxes together with the assessment. So that's 40% of the property value and the amount of taxes. The tax digest is prepared by the county's tax commissioner based on information obtained by the tax assessor. Assessed value is defined as being 40% of fair market value. The tax rate for Bear County School System, or millage rate, is set annually by the Board of Education. A tax rate of 1 mil represents a tax liability of $1 for $1,000 of assessed value. The school system's current millage rate is 18.5. The Bear County median school tax, so based on the U.S. Census 2019, the most updated data, the median home value here is $159,700. So 40% of that value is $63,880. Less the homestead exemption of $2,000, you get a value of $61,880, 18.5 mils on that. So this taxpayer would pay $1,144.78 in school tax. I also looked at the median school tax based on Zillow values, and on their values, it's a $231,486 is the median home here in Bear County. 40% taxable value on that, $92,594, less the homestead exemption, you get $1,676 in school tax. So the median taxpayer pays between $1,200 and $1,700 in school taxes. This is just a comparison of our median values homes compared to our counties around us. So you can see Barrow is lower than rest of them. Clark is right behind us though. And this is the Zillow value and the US Census value. So when would we break even on a home built? I talk a lot about, wanting to build bigger homes around here. So for one child, the break even point would be a $350,000 valued home. 40% of that, you take out the homestead exemption, you get school taxes of $2,553. Well, we also get, so the cost of a student is, the local cost of the student is $3,315, but we receive commercial and industrial. So I've taken the commercial and industrial tax digest, multiplied it by 18.5 and divided by the number of students that we have and prorated that out. So we basically break even at a $350,000 value home. And that's just for if you have one child. All right, this is our tax digest over the years. So you can see the fluctuation in the 2013, 2014 recession. The digest for 2021 is $2,642,000,000. And the taxpayers do have until June 21st to appeal. So we are still in the appeal process. During the same time, we had an increase of 2,332 in FTE, which includes an increase of 642 SPED students. The ups and downs of the property value. So we're looking right now at an 8.42% increase from last year in our tax digest. And this is our property tax and TABT tax. I had to add the TABT car tax in because back in 2007, 8 through 2013, the car tax was included in property taxes. So I wanted to make sure that everything was equal. We're looking at $3,759 per FTE if we leave the millage rate at 18.5. This is what the 2021 tax digest looks like. It's a PT 32.1 form. And you can see the 2020 digest there, 2.4 million, 2,436,875 compared to today, which is 2,641,993,000. So what happened to the 2021 digest? The net digest increased by 8.42% or 205 million. The tax assessor reassessed property that was already on the digest for a net increase of 123,276,000. So these are all the people that are saying that their taxes are going up. Their houses were reassessed for a higher value. New real property construction increased by 117,186,000. Personal property, mostly business furniture, equipment, and machinery, increased by 17,399,000. Our automobiles still on the birthday tax decreased by 7.4 million. We will see that decrease continuing. If you can believe it, there's $37 million worth of cars still on the old tax digest, which those cars would have to be over in 2009. Older cars. And the exemptions increased by 45,827,000.
Say that again.
About the old cars?
No, about the exemption increase.
The exemptions increased by 45,827,000. And that can be anything from agricultural to veterans to low income seniors. This is our increase in the increase and decreases in the tax digest. Really, the main thing I want you to look at is those reassessments and then real property put on the tax digest. So we had a major increase in tax assessments, reassessments in 2018, and then it kind of died off just a little bit, and then here we are, half of that in 2021. Our sales ratio study, so the Department of Audits compares the sales of homes to how much that home was listed on the tax digest. You're looking for a 40 or 100% of value, so they compare the sales in the area to what the house is assessed for on the tax digest. And so you can see that we, 2014 was 37.2, 38.03 and 15, 35.65 and 16, 35.64 and 17, 38.13, 2018, so we're rising, 2019, 38.3, and in mid-June, we will receive the 2020 information. This year, the millage rollback is in effect. So a millage rollback is based on reassessments of property that was already on the digest for 2021, or the 2020 digest. 139,552,344 less exemptions of 16,275,374. So a net 123,276,970 was added to our digest because of updated values. If we decrease our millage rate by 0.863 to 17.637, then we would receive the same amount of tax money as the previous year on that property that was on the digest in 2020. We would receive more because they put more on the digest. There was more home building and commercial that was put onto the digest. So we would receive more for that. Our millage rate history, y'all all know this, for the past 15 years, it's been at 18.5. This is the comparison of millage rates to counties that surround us and are like us. The Georgia max school rate is 20 mils. These rates do include the property tax bonds. Property tax bond must be passed by voters, and I believe you can go to 3.0 mils. And this is from the Georgia Department of Revenue. And this is some comparison of our local revenue for FTE. This is what we get off the Georgia Department of Education site. So as you can see, again, this is districts that are surround us or that are similar to us.
How does Clark get almost twice as much as we do?
University of Georgia. That's a good
A
piece.
lot of commercial, a lot of
Commercial.
industrial.
It's proof that money doesn't buy success, though.
Oh, so we just need more industrial and commercial. And that's all the time. Okay. It's true.
In a few Georgia games, they just let us borrow the stadium a month for a couple of games.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is our expenditures per FTE, again, from the Georgia Department of Education. All right, so here's the decision. Our budget for 2022, we budgeted estimated taxes of $45,702,805. If we set the millage rate at 16.5, we would receive $42,620,940 in estimated taxes, which would be $3,081,865 less than what we have in our budget right now. Taxes on a $100,000 home with a homestead exemption would be $627. So right now at 18.5, they're at 703. So taxpayers would see a $76 decrease. If we go to the rollback, we're gonna
That's $6.50 a month. Just saying. It's not, it's just not a lot of money per household.
if we do the rollback, which is what is 17.637 mils, we'll receive $270,000, $171 that we'll have to make up in the budget. And then taxes on a $100,000 house would be $670.21, which is a decrease of $32.79. And you can see each level there. And then of course, our current millage rate, we would receive 1,863,946 over our budgeted amount. And the taxes on $100,000 home would remain at $703. Now, what we would do is if you decide to stick with the 18.5 or somewhere in between the rollback rate and the current rate, we would probably, we moved a lot of expenditures over to the CARES Act 2 funds. So we would move those back to the general fund. So our revenues would not be over our expenditures. It wouldn't be profiting.
Jennifer, before we leave this decision page, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yes.
If we were to roll back the millage rate, do we know how much that impacts us, how much the state's gonna penalize us for doing it? Do we know how much that is?
With equalization, no, because you don't know for 2 years how it's going to impact you. It just depends on what other counties do. So if everybody else rolled back, we would be fine. But if everybody else kept their millage rate at the same, we rolled back, we wouldn't be doing our fair share, so we would lose some. And I can't even estimate how much that would be.
Really, the last time we rolled it back by, I don't remember if it was 1/4% or 0.5%, it cost us over $1 million for the state.
Well, you
I'm
want us
not
to make a decision
suggesting that,
tonight?
I'm
I mean,
just-
is that,
So I would love that, but I don't want to push y'all. If any of y'all are on the fence or anything, I'm not going to push you, but it does. I do have to do the tentative approval of the millage rate. Then I have to advertise, wait a week, do a public hearing or 2, then advertise, wait a week. And we try to get all of this done by June 30th for the county. If we do it on next Tuesday, which is fine, I can still get it all in, but you guys will have to come back on June 24th to a called meeting to approve the millage rate.
Suzanne, can you go back to the previous slide?
If you approve it tonight, then I can get everything done and y'all can approve on at the work session on the 22nd.
does anybody have an appetite for changing it?
Nope, doesn't look like it does. Per family, it's not,
It's
nothing.
negligible.
I mean, if it was a big difference, I'm all for helping the families, but that's nothing.
With what the county has approved, with the amount of new homes and congestion, it's gonna add a ton of kids to
Yeah.
the school. We're gonna have to add teachers. We're gonna have to continue to add infrastructure within our school system. I know last year we were pretty much unanimous in keeping it the same.
Again, leaving it where it is, if you look at the decrease, if we dropped it to 16.5, that's $76 a year.
Yeah.
Okay, which again is like $6 and change a month. If $6 and change a month is gonna negatively impact a family in their house, we've got more problems than we can deal with here. So, and I would love for us to get to a point where we actually are at least breaking even with the income that we get locally for our families. And we have not done that in the past. We've always had to sort of rob Peter to pay Paul to make sure that everything worked out. And again, Jennifer's done a wonderful job with that. But it just seems to me that at this point, we don't know. We know we're gonna have an influx of children, we just don't know how many and how much that's gonna cost us. And we've got building needs that we're gonna have to deal with and renovations that we're gonna have to deal with because of more students coming into the system. And it just doesn't make any sense to me to roll it back at this point.
County's doing a great job. Lisa's doing a great job with economic development. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we won't have so much of a divide there that's on the property tax burden. But I mean, it's just that I don't see any benefit to rolling it back. Even to the families, there's just not much benefit there. So I'm okay with voting on it tonight.
Everybody okay with
Sure.
voting on the 18.5?
So can I make a motion that we leave the millage rate as it is?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I think we have to be in a board meeting, we're in a work session.
We'll have to go into the call.
Okay.
Sorry.
We
Well,
have to exit. I'm sorry. Okay.
you know where we're going then.
Thank
Helps you.
We're heading there. Jen. We're heading there.
Well, when you've got that many students potentially coming, when you're in a high growth trend like we are right now, it's, you can change something like that, and then the other piece comes in and kind of bites you on the equitable piece, and then we have to go back up because of the growth pretty soon. So and then we have to make up the losses there too. So
I
I'd
certainly
be
don't want to
comfortable,
backtrack.
very comfortable staying where we are.
Okay, the board member nomination process?
Yes,
You wanna walk
you've
through
got
that?
a, yeah, sure will. You've got a handout in your folders. Unfortunately, we have been through this before. Unfortunately, we'll have to do it again. So we've got a tentative timeline for the process to fill the District 1 seat there for you to look at. We have a 45-day window that will expire on July 17th. So tonight, we've presented the process or presenting the process to the board. You can vote at the next work session. And if approved, we'll send it on, which would be the 525. If approved tonight, we send that notice to the legal organ, which is the Barrow Journal. Get that out on the district website, advertise it. Accept letters of interest from citizens of the District 1 through Wednesday at 6/16. And then board members, as we've done before, will need to meet, review the letters of interest, see if there are any that are not interested in or interested in, and then we will schedule interviews for you all to interview the candidates in the public forum. The legal notice that we'll be placing in the paper is there for you to see there. Basically outlining the same thing. I think most of you have been through it when Mr. Raper came on board.
Yeah, how was that process?
It's
Still traumatized.
Nothing like an interview with 9 of your closest friends and others watching too.
Okay.
Is this advertised somewhere else besides just the Barrow Journal? Just curious.
Well, we'll put it on our website and probably we'll wind up on social media also, but the legal requirement is
Sure.
is the Oregon and Barrow Journal law.
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Michael.
Yes,
on
sir.
The accepting letters date and the board members meeting. Is that date sort of set in stone or?
As long as we can move things around a little bit, but it's pretty tight. We've got
Either
the
the 15th or the 17th?
We've got to July 17th. Which we'll also go through some board meetings with which we have done before, but we would not have an odd number for if there were any voting ties or issues. So,
Do you have a conflict, Ricky?
I do on the 16th, so the 17th would be better for me. Is that a problem?
Are we talking?
One day.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see any issues with that. Yeah. I don't think we've got any conflicts with moving that to the 17th.
17th?
Oh, June, right.
Thank y'all.
Anything for you, Ricky?
We'll hold you to that, Bill.
Okay.
Almost anything.
Any other conversation about
Any other
the
conflicts?
replacement?
The 23rd is the same though. That's not changing.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's just the
23rd,
16th.
just the 16th.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
Well, how about 50? Tuesday? You good with
Tuesday, the
Tuesday?
15th. How does that work?
So we're not gonna do the 17th then?
Ben says.
Ben said a conflict on the 17th.
Okay. I can do it on the 16th.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
yeah, we have to have a couple of days to.
We can't do it on the 15th.
Let's figure out, maybe we can adjust the time on that day. Is your appointment in the evening, Ricky? Or
Maybe 6:30 instead of 6.
Oh,
Same for me on the 17th, by the way.
Why don't we just
If
push
it
the
could be a little
time?
earlier today on the 17th. that would work.
Yeah. we can-
You can even do
You
7.
can, so you can do later.
You can leave it the 16th if I could do.
Just do it a little later.
6:30.
If you can do it after 6:30, you said?
7?
Seven.
Yeah,
Seven?
that'd be
Let's do
great.
that on-
Okay, then we'll keep the date.
On the
16th at
Yeah,
7.
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock.
16th now.
At 7
Yes,
o'clock.
ma'am.
Keeping the date, we're moving it back 1 hour.
Suzanne, you're gonna need to send an email. People are gonna be showing up here at all kinds of different times.
We'll make sure to go there. All cleaned up and back
And
out.
it'll be me that's on the wrong day.
Okay. All right. That being said, we're going to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent. We're also, okay.